Hey guys, this is Rasanique, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we are talking about maybe babies, considering having kids in your 30s and 40s. So I think, at least for a lot of the girls in my group, this is a lingering question that has started to creep in. We are in our 30s. Most of us are in our mid to late 30s, and we're starting to wonder, okay, should I have a baby or do I want another one? And it used to be that, like, especially once you start hitting towards your 40s, people would tell you, like, no, you don't want to do that. Um, your biology isn't set up for that. Society kind of, you want to be an old mom. And then it's the idea of, for some of us, for example, like me and Meek, we had kids already. We had kids in our 20s. And so now it's a matter of, do you want to start over? Your baby can get dressed by themselves. They know how to put a Pop Tart in the toaster. And while you are still doing your makeup, do you want to go back to, okay, I'm starting all over. You need me for every single little thing. And that desire kind of gets bumped against fear. Do I actually want the price of what this comes with? Now, Neek, you know, me and you, this is something me and you have heavily talked about literally since our babies were born. Like, okay,
Yeah.
eventually you're going to want other ones, but when is going to be the time? And I think for both of us, luckily we both got pregnant around the same time. And so we went through this whole experience together when I was like, oh my gosh, you know, first trimesters are hard. You were also, yeah, first trimesters are hard. Like we were doing this thing together. And it's been a consistent conversation for us. Where have you landed now? Like right now, this point in your life, in your mid 30s, like,
Late 30s.
okay, your late 30s. I keep forgetting there's age difference. Okay, in your late 30s,
Yes.
where are you standing on this topic?
I'm not really sure. I feel like when I was thinking about it, I was more in mid 30s and more hopeful. But for me, I know you can do I know you can like do procedures to have the kid. You know, I don't need a man to do it, but for me at this age, it's like I have to be married or I have to be in a committed relationship, and that's what I want for myself.
Mhm.
And if I can't get that, I can't have a kid. So that's why I'm like, I really, really want a kid, but who I'm gonna have to with? Casper? I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And I decided I made the conscious decision that I don't want to go about it alone again. It's not that it's kudos to those who can do it, but it's something I just can't do.
Mhm.
So the older I get, like I get less hopeful or I get kind of anxious about it. Cause like you were saying, our children are able to do a heck of a lot of things by themselves. I don't know, could I start over? I don't know, do I have it in me to start over? Like even watching Friends kid, it's like, woo,
Girl,
they're gonna cry and not stop crying. And I don't know what I'm about to do with this, but it does help to have my child to help. But again, I don't want my decisions to be her thing. You know, watch your sibling and do this. It wasn't her choice. I want her to continue to grow and continue to thrive without just
mhm.
having a sibling, not a sibling daughter or a sibling son. So yeah, I'm kind of up in the air. I'm kind of up in the air. It might have to be something miraculous to change my mind. Like, okay, I'm ready. You know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of up in the air.
I
I
am
don't
right
know.
up in the air as well. I am in my mid 30s. I'm about to be in my mid 30s. I turned 34 in like 2 more months. And I'm kind of in the same place where, like, you know, I kind of always been on and off the fence of like, I do want another kid. I don't know, me and her, because like one of my biggest things is like, and I was, you know, I've talked about this on a podcast. I'm a get up and go type person. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the ability that like I can get up and go. And when I had my first daughter, you know, when things didn't work out with me and her father, like I got up and left. I can get up and go with one baby. And I always think about that of like, okay, but now we added other babies to it. Like, can you get up and go? Can you? I think in terms of things like that, because I am a planner. So things like that, like always concern me. Me and Ashley actually just recorded another episode talking about babies. And one of her things, like for because Ashley talks about this before, like up until like a year before she had a kid, did not want children. And she had talked about like one of her reasons though was like, I didn't want to raise a child alone. And she was like, I saw
Mhm.
a lot of women in my life be single moms and it just looked horrible. And she was like,
Mhm.
she was like, for a long time, I didn't understand my fear of having kids was my fear of eventually having to raise this child alone. And she was like, and then I got over that fear. I worked through some of that I met a really great partner and, blah, blah, blah. And with me, that wasn't a fear. I I said I've never been like 100% sure I'm one of those people that can be with one person and just grow old for life. That's always been something I struggle with. It's always been something I've kind of been fearful of. Like I'm not sure if I'm cut out for that. I like the idea of it um, because I am a person that's like again very good at being like, I ain't got to take this and leaving. And so when you have one child, I know I can do it. I've done it before. I've looked at the
Mhm.
situation like, you got me fucked up. Got my baby, got a plan, got my own, like,
Yeah.
you will
Yeah.
come home to all my furniture gone. I'm real good. I'm real good at making escape plans and leaving the notes. It's like my signature
Mm.
move. Um, but it's like, dang, when I add another baby to that, can I do that? It's
Yeah.
almost kind of like a fear of like restriction. And so for me,
Mhm.
when I think about other kids, I'm like, I do want my child to have another child, another person there. Again, something me and Gabby has talked about before. Gabby's the only child. And, me and her have had conversations where she has been very like open and honest about like, hey, though, because of her relationship with her dad, with her like she has a brother on her dad's side and so forth, but she grew up with her mom mostly. It's
Mhm.
kind of been like, yo, if something happens to my mom, I'm all alone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at me and her having that conversation always stuck with me. Like, I don't want my baby feeling like that. Like, I want her to have another
Mhm.
piece, another human, if at least
Mhm.
one, if not two. And so that has always kind of been something that's motivated me. Like, dang, I do want her to have. And also, I love being a mom. I enjoy being a mom so much. It's something that's a chore for me. My baby right now is with her dad, and I was bugging the hell out of her yesterday. Just FaceTime her. What you doing? I missed you. You look so beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, so like I enjoy being a mom. Like I know for some people it's just like, I can't wait till the kids turn 18. I'm telling you right now, I'm already being like, you can live here.
Mhm.
Like marriage, I don't understand why y'all have to move because you're married. I'll extend the home. Like I love being a mom. And so like that has never been a hard part of it. But it's always been kind of this idea of like, okay, but I need to be able I want to do it like you in partnership. Um,
Yeah.
but just because of who I am as a person, I'm also like, but if I needed to leave this Negro, can I, without
Mhm.
restriction, will I put me, I never kind of like Ashley's fear around like, I don't want to be a single mom. I've seen it. It looks so hard. I've seen a lot of amazing women be trapped by men and
Mhm.
feel like they can't
Mhm.
leave because I got a family, we got these houses, we got blah, blah, it's tied. And that has always been my thing. Like, I refuse to ever be with someone who makes me feel trapped. I refuse to ever be in something that feels like it's a benefit to them and is slowly killing me. And
Yeah.
for me, that's the thing that comes up like, dang, but if I add another person to this, if I add another little human being, is it gonna make it hard? Like, can I run as fast? Can I still protect them when it's just me? I can do it with it's me and this one little person, and she hella
Mhm.
independent. This
Mhm.
works. But what if I get another one and that one's really needy and that one's really, and I'm like, oh, can I do that? So that for me
Yes.
is more of the fear that come up. I don't really care about the biological stuff. One thing
Mhm.
about me that I'm learning is, and I've said this before and I knew this, but like I come from a hella fertile family. The women in my family get pregnant if they look at a man too strong, like fertile as fuck. So I'm like, I think it can happen. I think I got a couple more years. I feel like if I slip up, it's going to happen. So I'm not really concerned
Yeah.
about that. I'm not really
Mhm.
concerned about like, well, don't you want to be on a cruise when you 45? No, with my babies, like I'm perfectly fine extending that time. But my whole thing has always been though, okay, but is it going to restrict my ability to get up and go if I need to?
That's yeah. Because I don't think I thought about the get up and go if I need to. But lately, as of lately, I have been missing not like missing my whole life, but in ways I have. I'm gonna be honest. Like it's just like I can't like you saying get up and go if you need to. I miss being able to get up and go without making reservations and like the restrictions of it. Cause I think it's because I don't have consistent time to do those things, maybe. And I was thinking like that's why I think I was like I'd want to have a man or something like because like I don't know. Every man isn't like this, but you know how my mom and dad roll.
Yeah.
If my mom wants to go on a trip, she gonna go, and my daddy is fine with watching us. So like, it wasn't like all the time, but she had that, and that's kind of what I want too. And it's just like now I have to see if I trust this man to bloom with my child. And then, yeah, he can watch his child, but I still gotta find another sitter for my first child because her dad is deceased. So it's just like all of these things going through my mind, like, yeah, do I really want to do this? Because I kind of miss like the get up and go of it. And I never thought I would miss that. Maybe that's what that little Neek was telling her parents, like, I'm never having kids and I'm never getting married because I like to love the independence. And it's right because I was always the oldest and I always felt like a mom. Yeah, since I was 3. Since I was 3. So it's just like, I don't know. Lately it's been like, I don't know. Yeah. Because the older she gets, the more you like, you said, I'm being that cruise with my babies. I low-key want to be in that cruise by myself. Like, you know, like lately as of late, and it's crazy coming from me because I always wanted her to have a sibling because I was so close with my siblings. But as of lately, I'm still grieving my old life sometimes. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah. And it's not, I always say it's not because I love my child, but it's just like, you really have to make reservations for every single thing as a mom, as a parent. You have to think about them as a parent. So,
I mean, and I think that goes back to all of us. It kind of goes back to like a fear around support because even with Ashley, her whole thing was like, I seen a lot of single moms. It looks so hard doing it by yourself. She was scared of not having that support with you. It sounds like I need that support though, so I can have me time. Even me is like, I need the support to be, well, I'm trying to get rid of the support, but it's around support. It's a lot of fears around. It's a lot of stuff around support because that's a difference between me and you. Because you're right, your partner had passed away shortly after you guys had your daughter, and for me, me and my co-parent, like that's the big homie, like that's the cousin. So like, we're not family. Let me clarify that. Let me clarify that. But like. Look, I mean, come to my family reunions and stuff. Him and my mom are besties. Like, it's fine. Like, there is no animosity. Like, we have a great co-parenting relationship. But also, I have support. Like, we live in the same city. Well, we in Atlanta. So, but like, we still live close enough that like, when I have events, I call him like, yo, I got a meeting, I got a conference I got to go to. I need you to pick her up this day. And also like, I do get those breaks. We have a great co-parenting schedule. Like I get a week, he gets a week, and I get a week, he gets a week. Like we are close enough that we can do that. There's no arguments. The other day I had an emergency situation. It was on one of my days. And I was just like, hey, I have an emergency. Can you pick her from school and keep her until I get done? And he's like, yeah, I got you. And I do think that does make a bit of a difference because it's one thing when you get a break. I think, my relationship about all of that would be completely different if I didn't get any breaks. Or if I had to like plan and plot and scout.
For every one of them, you know?
Yeah, for every single break that I got.
Yeah. And you know how free-spirited and how on the go I was before her. Yeah. So it was just like, this is restraining. Like I could take her with me. I don't mind traveling with my child, but it's still like I just miss that some days. I
mean, I just want to throw in there. I keep telling you to come move down here, live with me, and then you have I was trying to be your co-parent. So, I'm literally just like, I'm trying to be your baby dad for like,
I'm ready. Yeah.
But like, so let's talk about like why this decision is so hard. I feel like it's because in your 20s, it felt like you had so much time to make this decision. Whether you have a child or you have no children at all, it was kind of like, well, I got a couple years. I ain't got to do it now. I'm trying to be on Bali on Saturday. I miss, kind of like you talked about in our 20s, me and you traveled a lot. Me and you would
Mhm.
have random trips. You would hit me up on Monday, like, "Are you trying to go to Atlanta?" This is when we were back in Ohio. Like, "Are you trying to go to Atlanta this weekend?" It was like, I have disposable income and no responsibilities. Yeah. Yeah, let's go to Atlanta this weekend. We didn't
Mhm.
have to really plot much. You could
No.
just get up and go. And you had it just felt like you had all the time in the world. But I think in your 30s and in your 40s, now it's like, okay, are my eggs good? Like, can I get pregnant?
No.
Is it gonna be
Mhm.
an expensive thing for me to get pregnant? Like, can I do this
Yeah.
naturally or do I have to get doctors involved? It becomes okay, but do I have the energy to take care of a baby right now? Like, my back hurts. I injured my back last year and it finally got better, but still every single day I have to do stretches.
Mhm.
Still, like, do I want to be picking up somebody? Do I want to be chasing after someone that's crawling right now? And it kind of gives you this feeling of like, oh shoot, it's like now or never. I only have a little bit of time to decide.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like you said, what happens if I don't have all the things in place? Like, yep, I want a kid, but what's going on with my love life? I don't really want to have a kid with any of these people.
Mhm.
Or maybe it is like, I love this man. Do I want to have a kid with him though? Like, I love the hell out of him. I don't know if I trust that he is going to step up the way I need him to step up.
Mm. Then it's like the societal norms versus personal truth. Like society is telling us, like, yeah, we can have it all, we can do it all. But in reality, can we actually do that? Like, can you still like for me? Like, can I still travel and still have a child? Can I still do this? Can I still lately it's been can I date and have a child? I mean,
Mm.
it's just a lot. It's a lot to like digest and figure out what works for you or what is it that my heart really wants. And then the reality of uncertainty, no matter how much we analyze, there's no perfect answer. Like the right time often doesn't exist. And I remember people used to always say that, like, I waited for this time to start planning. I waited for that time to start planning. I'm like, with a child, you can do all the planning in the world, but for real, you don't really know until you actually get in there and see, I think. I don't think it's like I don't know. You can plan. I think you should plan financially, but I think you should do that. But it's just like in our older age, it's like we have that ability to do that too.
I think with kids, it's planning is the best thing. Like, does my healthcare, does my insurance, do
That
you know?
part.
Look, I had a homegirl, like, when she had a baby, like, because when she picked out her insurance plan, she wasn't planning to get pregnant. So she was
Mm-hmm.
looking at, like, she's like, I'm very healthy. I don't really go to the doctor that much. I don't care if my copay $75, but guess what? When you're pregnant, there's a lot of doctor visits. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other things to add into place. Even talking about that, like having a child on your insurance plan brings your insurance plan. That little
Yeah.
$75 they was taking out your check goes to like 180. Things like that. I definitely think that planning part is about a big part of it too. Again, I had my baby. I was in grad school. I was not planning on having no baby. Had no plans. Even though I was pregnant, so I was in my second trimester. And there was a lot of things that I had to hurry up and try to. And again, I'm a planner. There was a whole bunch of things that I had to hurry up and be like, oh crap, I have to figure this out. And
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this in another episode, and these episodes are probably gonna play back to back. So y'all probably gonna be like, why are we talking about babies so much? Because I just recorded one with Ashley like a couple of days ago about babies. But one of those things could also look like, okay, does the work that I do allow me to actually spend time with my child when they're a newborn? The work I have right now works great for a child that's kind of independent. Like the
Mm-hmm.
weeks I have my daughter, I do switch up my schedule to be less demanding. However, like there's like 2 days a week, like I can't help it. I have clients until like 8 o'clock at night. But luckily I do have help where like my little cousin will like make her bath for me, make sure she gets something to eat, things such as that. But it's like, okay, now how am I doing that with a baby?
Yeah.
Because after that maternity leave, eventually things have to go back. And yes, having a partner helps with that. And it's like, okay, because my partner's going to help and they're going to do that. But I didn't talk about the emotional part of it because when they're that young, at least for me, I wanted to be around my baby all the time. And I hated
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, after she was born, I was still in school for a couple months. And again, my schedule in school was like classes at 9 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. I can't remember which one, till 8 or 9 at night. And that was 2 days a week. Plus, I was
All
working.
right.
Plus, I had an internship that was 3 days a week, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Plus, it was an hour and a half away. So I had to drive an hour and a half there and I had to drive. And I felt like I missed out on so many major moments those last months I was in school. But she was, 3, 4, 5 months during this time. And I'm like getting pictures from her dad of like, she crawled. I'm getting pictures from her dad, like, oh, she's trying to change my mind, stuff like that I'm missing out of. Is my life set up right now to have a kid and be able to flex that way? And I think in the past, it's like when you're in your 30s, at least for me, my parents, because my parents had me in their 30s. For me, they were in positions where they were in higher positions in their companies. They were in management, they were in, high positions where they had more flexibility. But I feel like in our time right now, that does not matter. As someone who has been in management, as someone who has been in higher positions, it don't work like I feel like it did with my parents. Like
Yeah.
I had more responsibilities. It wasn't like, oh, I can flex my time because I'm the boss and I can blah, blah, blah. No, because I was the boss, I had to deal with stuff off the clock. So I had to deal with stuff after my hours. I was getting called in and so forth. And it's like, so pay ain't the same. So like how many people are working 2 jobs or side hustles or whatever? Is our lives even in a space right now where introducing another child or a child in general, feasible in our idea of what we thought motherhood, bring a new child in, would be like?
Yeah. I think because we have another child, so we know how it is at the beginning. Because that's why I was trying to think, like, how can I do that now? Because we know, like, before you have a child, you don't know, like, you're going to want to see all these milestones, but work will get in the way. Like, you want to do all these things, but work will get in the way. Or just trying to manage your life will get in the way. But I think, like, we have the outlook and perspective now to look back and try to, like, now if we did it, we know how to try to get stuff in order to set it up so we won't have to go through those things. We do have that luxury, but still, again, it's just like, it's still gonna be hard. Like we had that reminder, like it's still gonna be hard, sis, to get these things in order. Cause I remember being sad when I had to go back to work. And now I think back, I think I was in so much, I was probably just trying to get stuff together. Like you were in grad school and then you was graduating, and then you had to find a job and all that. You had so much going on. Then I was going back and forth for Georgia. Then he was sick. My late fiance was sick. So it was just like, I think that's too why we used to crave having another child. We wanted to do over. Yeah. So we wanted a less stressful way. But we do have that experience where we can get more things in order. I think we have the luxury of that. But it's still like, but we have the room and space to do that too. I think that's as us in our 20s versus our 30s.
Yeah.
Having children.
For sure. All the things that we thought were promised in our 30s, also, it doesn't look like it did in the 90s.
No.
Like, in the 90s, yeah. But also, and one of the things I keep thinking about too is like, my mom is one of 7 children. My mom has so much support. Like, because my mom was in like big jobs and big title jobs and so forth. And so there was a lot of time in my childhood when I think about it where it was like I was surrounded by family, but not necessarily my mom and dad. But also like, especially when I lived in Dayton, like my auntie, we used to walk to my auntie's house. She lives close to us that we would walk at like 6 and 7 to her house. No problem. My uncle also lived close enough that he would just come and pick us up. My other aunties, and I don't know a lot of people that have that type of support now. Like a lot of us don't live close to our family. A lot of us don't live close enough to like, luckily for me, me and my co-parent, like we're close. We have a good co-parenting relationship. So he's my support. I'm his support. Not even like financially, his place got hit by a tornado and so forth. And I was like, cool. Do you and your girl need to come over here? Are y'all cool? Are you and her kids cool? But like outside of him, I don't really have And of course, my mom, I have my cousin here and so forth. And that's been a lot more support, but it's not like the same support we were getting in the 90s and so forth. And so I think sometimes that's the imbalance because I think sometimes we think about, oh, well, it's gonna be good because they're gonna have their cousins, blah, 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 because that's what our childhood was. Where like my baby knows she has cousins, but like her cousins are in Oklahoma. Her cousins
Mm-hmm.
are in North Carolina. Her cousins are in Ohio. Like her cousins are a plane trip away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. That's true. It's not at all like that. How it used to be, yeah.
So I think when you're really thinking about this, it's like there's a couple tough questions like you have to ask yourself. One, I think the first question to ask yourself is, do I actually want this or do I feel like I should want this? And this is just essentially asking yourself, am I making this decision out of like, I truly desire this? Or is it just how I thought life would go? I think, and for some people, me and Nick, again, we were both people who were like, we not having kids. And then we were the first ones in the friend group to have kids.
I was like, huh?
Look, but I think for some people, like I know I have girlfriends who like their whole life they're like, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna have kids. But now they're like, I like traveling. I like white furniture. I like no one touching my stuff. A one bedroom in Midtown is like 1,700. What you mean I gotta get a 2-bedroom? You know, asking themselves like, yeah, I think I remember always wanting to be a mom, but like I actually really like my lifestyle right now. I really like being able to get it but go. I really actually like the life that I have. And I'm not really sure if I want to change it, but I feel like I'm supposed to because I have been like, oh, I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to be a mom. And then on the flip side, there's other people who are just like, well, we're married. He wants a kid. I guess I should have a kid now. Really asking yourself, is this actually what you want at all?
Yeah. Because like the married part, it's not even like just societal norms, it's like the family norms. So when y'all gonna have this kid or even friends, like, are y'all thinking about children? So it's like all these expectations around it. And you're like, well, I'm good. Like I like me and my husband. And then sometimes some marriages don't have the conversation beforehand. And then it's like one feels strongly than the other. And then it's like, okay, how we gonna get through this? So it's just like, those are all things to think about.
Or what happens when you change
like
or what happens when you change your mind? Like y'all both got married, it was like, yeah, I want a kid. And now you like, I don't know, this has been great, just me. Like, why add something? Or maybe it's the opposite. Y'all both got married and y'all was like, no, we don't want kids. We don't. And now you're grown and you're like, actually, I kind of do. I know when we both got together, I was also team like no kids. Yeah. But now I'm starting to feel like I do want one. I've been playing with your nieces and nephews more. I've been, you know, am I feeling a certain pressure? And is my decision purely out of me?
Yeah, and another thing is just asking like yourself, like, what am I really afraid of by having these children or a child? Because I don't need one more. If I do it, that's only one more. So just think about it and think about it. It's like, am I stopping myself? Like just go through each fear and really analyze it and see like, is this me stopping myself or is this something that I can get over? Or how do you really have to analyze how you feel? Because once you're there, sex is not going back. It's not going back. I didn't think I even thought about that in my 20s. I was go home about having a kid. When I finally was ready to have a kid, I'm having my kid. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking about. No fears. I wasn't thinking about nothing. I was just like, we're going to have this kid. And then I was like, how did I have a kid? But yeah, I don't know. It's something to think about. What are your fears around them? And really like reflect on that as well.
Yeah. But yes, no, I definitely think about the fear part all the time because, you know, there's a change to your life. And I think Mia actually talked about this on the baby episode. Me and her talk about, and I tell her all the time, like, because me and Ashley keep having this reoccurring thing in our friendship where every now and then I'll say something or I'll do something and she'll just be like, where is that coming from? Like, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting, you know me as a mom because you did not meet me until after I was already a mom. And I was like, there's this whole lore about me that you don't know. You don't understand. Like, rest before children was a very, very different rest. And
Yeah.
so there's this whole change that happens when you have kids. And there's a lot of people that are like, no, I won't change. You should. You should. Having another, I'm a big believer, taking care of another little person should change you. You should be, you're like, but I'm already giving. I'm already a person that does for others. I'm already, okay. Me and Nick were those type of people too. However, there were still changes because adding another
Yeah.
person to your life should change certain things. I
Mhm.
am fearful of those people who have kids and don't change. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually those are the kids that end up on somebody's therapy couch because you should have changed.
Uh-huh.
You should have
I've seen it a lot.
should have
I
been
do.
something, but
Yeah.
it's kind of could be a fear like, okay, but how much change happens? Because sometimes
Right.
you can't predict it. You can't predict exactly the ways in which you change. I talked to you about this recently. Actually, and I think I talked to Gabby about this recently too, of like, one of the things is went through a lot of healing because I had my daughter. There's a lot of things about myself. I was like, I
Mhm.
don't want to pass that on.
Mhm.
However, I always keep a little bit of unhealed in my back pocket. I do. In case people want to try me, I'm like, there's still like
It's still in there, sis.
it's still in there, like just in case. Like I try to keep it tamed. I try not to think about it. I try not to touch on it, but it's there. But like even over the last year, I've had certain experiences that like I handled in a mature and healed in
Mhm.
like respectable way that it pop up in my mind. I was just like, I really should have wilded out on that. Like I won't lie, there's certain things that have happened that I'm like, I hated that I acted mature about that situation. I actually really hated that I was a mature and just, karma will get them. And there's nothing I can do. I'm just gonna let people do what they do. There are sometimes I'm just like, you know what Oris would have done? And that's
Yeah.
not to say change so you can still be psychotic, but that's to say like there's certain parts of you that change that you don't necessarily expect.
Mhm.
And there's
Mhm.
sometimes going back to what you talked about missing, like just your freeness. There's sometimes you miss, like, I miss being able to be like, I ain't got nobody to worry about but me. Try me.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I was thinking. Like when you were just talking, I was like, think about us before we had these kids. We were not the same.
No.
We were not the same. Like, at all. Like I mean, I always say I had her at, even though I kind of was like, I want my child, I'm gonna have my child.
Yeah.
But I had her at the time that needed to change my life at that moment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, like it needed to happen. I I don't know. I always think about that. Like, yeah, I needed to have my child
Yeah.
because I was living my best life, and I don't know what would have stopped me from living my best life. Nothing would have stopped me. But I was like, I just needed her. And it was like a different perspective. I've grown so much. I learned so much. I don't know. I just, for me, in that it was a blessing, but it's like, okay, but now going forward, am I gonna make a conscious decision I'm good. Like I changed. I'm a good person now.
I'm a good person.
Do I need another one? So yeah, I don't think it's such a thing. It's such a huge thing. Like just reflecting about how I thought about things when I was in my 20s and how I think about things now.
Yeah.
So right now it would be me making a conscious decision. Then it was just me making a lots of things. Like I didn't think about life. Everybody has kids. I can do this. But it's like now I know everything that's required to have them. Now I know how I need to be. It's like a forever growing process. Like you said, if you don't grow after having kids, because it's like you reflect on so much, you fix so much. It's just like you're breaking cycles. It's just so much. It's
Mhm.
so much growth that comes with it. I always watch like love shows, like dating shows. I just watch them all the time. So I was always watching them even before I had Journey. It was this lady that was in her 30s and her son was like all the way like maybe 17.
Mhm.
And then she was just like dating. And he never had kids. And then he said, but I want to have children. And she was like, all right, just sit there and think about it. And she was like, I don't want to put myself through that again. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do in life. It changed me and I was broken. And I was thinking to her, like, girl, if he want, I mean, I want kids. Like, but then I was like, literally, I don't know, because I was going through my emotion state. I was like, I just realized, like, I know what this lady is talking about. Like, I know exactly how she feels. It's just like, this is hard as hell. I'm not trying to deter anybody from it, but it's like for me personally, it was hard as hell. So it's just like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this again? And back then I didn't realize it because I was in my 20s. I was like, do it. I mean, if my man, if I really like this man, we gonna have a kid. But it's just like you don't know. Each situation is different. I really was like that. I was talking to her like,
I know.
"Hey, he handsome. And he's chocolate. You better get your man. You want that man? You better get that man."
Lord. I was not. I was always team girl, fuck them kids. girl, if you don't walk yourself down to that place.
Girl, but no. So, but now it's just like reflection. It's like life changes. So it's something you really need to reflect on. I really feel I'm really big on that. Like if I ever have another one, I have made a conscious decision. Like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do because yeah.
I mean, going back to what you said with that though, like I'm such a big believer, like the situation has to be right. The situation has to be right. Even though things did not work out with me and my co-parent, like I had a great co-parent. Like even though I was busy throughout my pregnancy, because I had so much going on, like I was still coming home to someone who made sure dinner was cooked for me.
Yeah.
I was coming home to someone who had bubble bath waiting for me, back massages. I was coming even when we separated and so forth. And also at the time, we were engaged. We had already, before we even knew of her, we had plans to get married and everything like that. And so I had a strong foundation. And or should I say strong? I left, but we had a foundation. Okay.
Yeah.
But like even when, and don't get me wrong, that first year we separated was rough. Like that man almost got uppercutted a few times, but like at the end of the day, I still had, a co-parent that wanted to be a father, that was in their child's life, that was very active, that still is very active. I still had a co-parent who their family was supportive, would reach out to me, would make sure I'm good, all those things. And I'm bringing up to say, like, talking about regrets though, like I'm still a big believer, like when a woman, especially someone close to me that's like, girl, what am I going to do? And I'm like, do you have that support?
Yeah.
It's a different experience. Even if y'all don't work out, to have someone that is still supportive, that wants to be a father, that is actively trying to be in that child's life and trying to help you versus someone who does not.
Yeah.
Even if they want to, but someone who's incapable of doing it. It is extremely very different situation. And I had someone recently, we had this conversation, but the conversation was like, are they going to be able to like really consider? Because I get it. Sometimes I think I get it. I know sometimes we get in that space where we're like, but I want this kid. I'm pregnant. I don't even know if I can have kids. And now I'm pregnant and blah, blah, blah. But that man don't want to be in that child's life. And I really want you to consider the mental, emotional toll that's not only going to take on you, but on your child. It is a very different experience. Again, me and my co-parent did not work out, but I had someone who loved the hell out of me. And so even when it didn't work out, I wasn't dealing with well, you ain't going to be with me. I ain't giving you no money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't dealing with we weren't together one time. I had moved out and I had moved to the hood because again, when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. Like I might not have everything, but I'm leaving. And so I had moved out and I moved to the hood and like I had a situation where I had to call the cops and he got there faster than the cops.
Yeah.
Again, recently his place just got hit by a tornado and he hit me up. I'm like, cool, what y'all need? Do you need me to bring supplies? Do y'all need to come over here? Him and his girl, do y'all need to come over here? Y'all good? Like we have that support. I would not put myself in a situation, if I can help it, of trying that out with somebody who is not going to be supportive because there's too many things that come up raising a child that if I can help it, that I would not want to do it without the support of a co-parent, the support and love of a co-parent, because again, and me and you have talked about this before, there's certain things you try to warn people of, especially people that don't have kids. And sometimes you have homegirls, they're just deciding like, girl, I don't know, do I want to keep this? And it's like, girl, you got to call the cops on him several times.
Exactly.
He got kids he already ain't taken care of. Like, you really about to be out here doing this shit alone. And
Mhm.
is this the circumstance you want to bring this baby into? And it's not to say that y'all can't do it. It's not to say that you should just because the man don't want it, you should just automatically throw the, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it's a very different experience and you really need to take that into consideration.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I don't
say
think
all
we
the time.
do.
Go ahead.
I don't think that's why I said I don't think we think about like you could say anything until you're blue in the face, but until you're deep in it,
Mhm.
I don't know. Because anybody can tell me anything. Like when I wanted my kid, my friends, because I grew up Christian and the traditional way, and they're like, even if you're not married, yeah, girl,
Girl.
he gonna be there for my child. Like we don't like I like I didn't think about none of that stuff. Like so I was glad to say like we could tell our friends that this or that, but I don't feel like if they never had a child, I don't know would they be open to listen or they're
In
not
my
gonna know.
experience, no. In my experience, no.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
definitely had people I have tried to kind of just warn, like, hey, y'all situation was not great already.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
already don't take care of his kids. He already is a cheater. He's already, don't have the finances. Hey, let's reconsider that.
You really have to think about those things. I don't think that people actually think about those things.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it goes to that fear of change versus regret, that's the part that comes in with the regret. I think sometimes when we think regret, it's more so, am I going to regret? I'm not going to ever regret having my baby. I'm not going to ever. It's not necessarily regretting having the baby, but it's like when you realize, okay, maybe I don't have the support. Maybe I don't have the finances. It's now, do I regret the situation in which I did this in, the time in which I did this in? Because those things outside of like, okay, I'm adding this child to the mix, it creates a ripple effect in everything else, completely change. And again, thinking about like, kind of like, okay, am I ready for that change? And I think one of the questions to ask yourself, like, and if I say no, will I be okay with this long term? If I say no, okay, I'm not going to have kids, because again, regrets go both ways. Am I going to regret it? When I retire, when I'm older, and am I going to wish I had maybe my own close nuclear family? If my partner dies and goes away, do I wish that we had a child together? Yes, some people regret having kids, but there are some people who regret not having them. They're like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I left my life and I traveled and I got to the top of my career and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I could have stopped at 40 and tried.
You were saying like if your partner passed, I do feel like it is a blessing. I do have Journey, a piece of her dad, and I do love that part. And I think I would have regretted not having. I know I would have regretted not having her if I knew he would have passed away. Even though I know it's hard, I still love the piece of it that I do have. I do have her. I never regret. I have my days where I was like, I miss my old life, and I grieve my old life, but I still love and appreciate that I have her now. And I think I would have been sad and regretful and probably go back to my body nowadays if I didn't have her.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I was to say that random thing. Yeah.
And I think it could go both ways in regards to that regret of having them versus not having them. I think there are people who choose like this is just not the right situation. This is not the right person. And there's a part of like you go on with life and you're like, I'm glad I made that decision. I'm glad I did not tie that myself to that end for the rest of my life. Because y'all be saying 18 years. No, that baby it turned 20. When I got my LCS, I was like 30, I think. 30, 31. And my daddy paid for that. How that man disturbed him and his wife. It's like, daddy, I just got the A-okay to take the test. I need $500. And he was like, okay. and that man paid for it. And that was my stepdad. So like, it's not just 18 years. And I think there are a lot of times that people are like, no, I'm glad I did have that. But also you can, in choosing not to have a child, you can also sometimes still kind of have those what if moments. And also have moments, especially like if you chose to have an abortion, if you chose to, or if you had a miscarriage, and you can recognize, like, damn, that really wasn't the right time. That really wasn't the right person. That was a decision I had to make, or, that, the universe low key was looking out for me by making sure that that did not happen. And even in that, still have a little bit of grief. And even in that, have
Mhm.
still a little bit of like, dang, but what if?
Mhm. For sure.
I probably, dang, I would have had a, maybe 10-year-old by now, or I could have, nah, it probably would have been hard, but I would have, had two beautiful kids right now that I'm running around with, or
Mhm.
one beautiful
Mhm.
kid or whatever. And I think
Mhm.
it's okay. I want to throw it out there. Like, it's okay. You can sometimes have both, have like relief about it, but also have a little bit of, dang, what if? I
Mhm.
think that also is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Now, let's talk about the unique considerations that come with like motherhood. The first one is the reality of having a pregnancy in your 30s or 40s, the medical factors, fertility concerns, and realistic expectations. I actually had her child at 35. And I remember one of the things that surprised both of us. She called me up and she was like, "Girl, do you know they told me I have a geriatric pregnancy?" I was like, "What?"
Yes, you remember.
And then she was like, "Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
thing.
apparently we are now geriatric. Just want you to know, if you having a baby, you're gonna have a geriatric pregnancy." I was like, "I am still young." First of all,
Yeah.
what you mean?
Right.
Like,
Oh, my geriatric.
I still love cartoons. What you mean,
Yes,
geriatric
yes,
pregnancy?
yes.
But yeah, that is a factor. We're considered more high risk now. When you're entering your 30s and your 40s, we are considered more high risk. And also, it might be harder. It might have been like, girl, we didn't use a condom one time in my 20s. We got pregnant one time. And I got pregnant.
Mhm,
And in your 30s, it might be a little bit like, yo, we've been trying
mhm,
for a
mhm,
year
mhm,
and it's been a
mhm,
little more difficult. And I think maybe if we're just considering having a child, setting yourself up for having realistic expectations,
mhm,
having this idea of like, hey, it might be a little bit harder. I know myself, I do want a second child. And that's something that I have had to talk to myself about. Like, okay, if I decide to do this thing, I might also have to recognize it might be harder. It might not
mhm,
be just as simple as me being like, okay, we're going to stop using protection. I'm going to get off my birth control,
mhm.
blah, blah, blah. And this thing going to happen. It might take time.
I
And it
agree.
might not
Mhm,
happen, or it might not happen as soon as I want. And kind of just because as I am waiting to have a second child, I have had to talk with myself of like, hey, it might not happen, or it might be a difficult road. And so telling myself, okay, are you okay with that? Making that decision that if I'm going to hold off and say right now is not the time, that if I do push it off, this is what I might have to deal with. And deciding that, okay, no, I think that's okay because right now really isn't the time. And so I'm deciding to be okay with the fact that
mhm.
it might not happen or it might be harder for it to happen.
I think about that often when I go to my back and forth,
Mhm.
and I was like, it was very easy the first time, but I have a lot of friends that have had and still are having trouble with conceiving in this age, and so I was like, it might not even be that easy
Mhm.
as you think it is. And I always think I thought before, like, yeah, when I'm ready again, I'll just do it. But I starting to see it's not as easy as I'll just do it as I might think it is. Because even like you were saying, like how your family is so fertile, low-key ours and mine is still like, then they got four, they got four, they all have like 4 and 3,
Mhm.
2, 3, and 4, all of them 2, 3, and 4 with no complications, none of them. So I was like, it can happen, but nobody was having them at 30 and 40.
Yeah.
So I think my aunt did have her first at 35, maybe when she has two. So it can happen, but I'm just like, I don't know. I just never thought it would be hard, but now I'm seeing it could definitely be a hard thing. So you have to even consider that and later planning, like you might have to get other options, other fertility options. You have to save up for those options. Like you have to think about all these things. It might not be as easy. And what is your A, B, and C plan
Yeah.
if you want to have children?
Yeah. You might have to consider, okay, do I need to freeze my eggs right now? Do I need to
Mhm.
start having consultations with doctors and deciding them telling me? I have a couple cousins that's like giving me hope that are like, you know, still pushing about 40s. I gotta look, we got a couple 6'5" kids. Okay? Like my mom's generation, definitely. But like in my generation, we got a couple people that are just like, girl, don't stare at that man too hard.
Yeah.
We got a couple people swear up and down like I used the birth control right. Like 6 kids tell me you haven't. So, but also I think I have made up in my mind already, like if it doesn't happen, I'm okay. Like I do want it, but it won't devastate me if it doesn't happen. I think I will be sad and like, dang, I do wish, but like I again having that conversation with yourself of like, okay, it might not happen or it might be extremely hard to happen. You might need medical intervention. Are you okay with that? And then you feel like not maybe thinking about, okay, well, what do I need to do now? Do I want a pregnancy? Because one of the things also is like pregnancy in your 30s, especially for those of us who have kids earlier and 40s might look a lot different in your pregnancy when you are a teen, if you had a teen baby, or in your 20s. My child's father, his mom had him as a teenager, and then she had a child in her 30s. And I remember me and her having a conversation when I was pregnant. And she's like, look at you up and going, because she had came to visit, and she was like, look at you up and going. Every time I look up, you out the door. You about to go do something. And we're having this talk, and she was like, yeah, you remind me of like when I was in my, when I was a teenager. She was like, I was still up and going. I was here and there doing everything. She was like, but let me tell you about that baby in my 30s. And she was like, it's a different feel. And I've had other people, me and Ashley had this conversation recently. And because she was also saying like, yeah, I remember when I met you, you had a toddler and you was just up and going, blah, blah, blah. She was like, and I'm so exhausted right now that I'm just like, how? And I was like, also you have to remember there's a decade between me and you had a kid. I had a kid at 25. You had your kid at 35. That's very different. I don't think at 35, I'm going to act the way I did at 25.
No. Yeah. My cousin, she had our kid when she was, I think we were in our 20s because I was still living in Cincinnati. So it had to be like, I was like 25 maybe, or 23, 24, somewhere in there. She had her, and then she recently had, so it's like now she has also a 2 or 3 year old. So she had it in her, I'm 37, so she had to have it when she was like 35 or something. She was like, cause my whole body hurt, like everything was different. She's okay. My cousin's so country, so she's like, cause everything different. Like my body hurt this too much. He a boy and I had a girl. Like I had girls and I had boys. It's a switch up. He punching me in my face. Like she was just saying, like it's such a difference. Like she was like, I love it, but group this is a lot because it's way different. I didn't know. I wasn't prepared. So because I was like, yeah, give me the lowdown because I wanted to know, like, how did it feel? She said, it was way different. It was way different. Yeah. So it's a thing. It is a thing.
It's a thing. So being realistic about, hey, what to expect in your 30s. Again, I think another one is like recognizing like the energy, going to what you said, the energy in a lifestyle. There might be an energy and lifestyle switch. Raising your toddlers is going to be different in your 40s than it is at 25. And I think there's benefits to both, like I had my child at 25. And so like money was tight. Money was tight. The older I get, the more money I have. Like I have, more money now, obviously, than I did at 25. And so like, yes, there might be things I might be able to do. There might be, we might be able to get you into the daycare where they make sure that you're bilingual by the time you're 3. We might be able to afford that now. There are completely different things, but also looking at the benefits, but also, what are some of the cons of that? Like in your 40s, like, yeah, you probably are going to have more money. You're probably going to have more support. You're probably making better decisions of partners. If you decide to have it with a partner, you might decide, no, I just want to be a mom or I just want to be a dad and I'm going to do this thing solo.
Yeah. And that's fine too. Yeah.
But you also have the mentality, the maturity to handle that differently. At 25, and I say this all the time, like I had to learn to not yell. Like when I first had my daughter, I had very little patience. I had very, very little patience. And I feel like when she was younger, and it's so crazy because like right now, my daughter's not used to being yelled at. Now, when she was like around those terrible twos, she was around the terrible twos and breaking everything in my household. it was a lot harder for me then. And then, of course, again, like I said, mother had changed a lot of things about me. And so I had to heal. I had to be like, you can't yell at her. She's 3. She doesn't like that. You don't like being yelled at. Why does she?
Yeah.
And so, like, my child's 8 now. She is not used to being yelled at. And she recently had an older family member yell at her, and she corrected them. She was like, okay, hey, she put her hand up. I was like, hey, I don't like being yelled at. Can you say that in a different way? And it tripped them out. And then, of course, they're older, so they was like talking back and da da da. And I had to step in, like, first of all, don't. She's correct. Do not yell at my child. But like, she's not used to that. But like, again, some of that is also like, I'm older now, and like, again, there's this at your 25, patience was different than it is.
Yeah,
before.
it is. Yeah, it is.
And so, like, there's certain benefits. I'm more mature. I know how to handle it. I've had more experience, but also now there might be some downfalls of like, I know now. My favorite park to take my daughter to is a park that has a pull-up drive. Like, and what I mean is like you park and you're like right at the edge of the like jungle gym, the swings and everything. So you can literally sit in your car and you see everything that's going on. And it's my favorite part because I don't got to get out because, and I'm almost 34. I turned 34 in a couple months. I don't like being out there. It's hot. It's mosquito. I don't want to jump. I see some of those parents that are like, oh, let me hold you up while you're doing the jungle gym. She know her mommy is sipping on a Dr. Pepper, reading her book in the air conditioner in her car. And I'm watching.
Yeah.
And I'm watching. It's right there. Anything happen, I literally just have to open my door and I'm literally at the thing. It's literally right there. I don't have the same energy as I did when I was 25. When I was 25, I was going through the jungle gym with her. I was crawling through the tunnels.
Yeah.
I ain't crawling through my tunnels. It's not. I have no desire to crawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might not have the same energy. You might not have the same get up and go. At 28, 29, like my daughter was in music, and you still do this, but like my daughter was in like music class, and then I was going to this after school like play area thing and blah blah blah. And now I'm like, I don't want to go to none of that. I'm so happy my daughter does not like after school activities. I'm so happy. Like I'm still gonna get her in an art class because she loves art. And so I was like, okay, she does swim class, but they come to the house for her to swim and everything like that. But like in your 40s, like, are you gonna want to run around to band, soccer, music, choir, ballet, all that type of stuff? You might have the energy at 25 to do all that, then still come home, talk to your girlfriends, talk to grandma. Hey, can you pick her up? It's date night for us. At 40, you might be like, you got one thing. I'm to practice for one thing. I don't got the energy to be doing all that.
Yes. I was talking to a friend yesterday because she put her daughter in check, and then she was like, yeah, I be going 4 days. I said, 4 days? Do I gotta go 4 days? She was like, no, I just be, she is younger than me too. But she's your age, but still, girl, I can't do it. I was like, okay, I can only do the 2 days. I gotta do the whole 4. Like, I cannot. I am tired. I was like, well, that's cool to you, sis, but I cannot do all 4 days of any type of sports. Like, no.
I love that my daughter likes things that she can do in our home. Like, I love it so much. Speaking of having that second kid, that's something I be thinking of. Like, I got too lucky with the first one. Like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. My daughter was Tommy Pickles when she was a baby. Like, she was always jumping off of something. She was always into something. Like, she was always like, she was definitely that. But like, for the most part, as a kid, she's very independent. She's not clingy. She's very like, I can do my own thing. And she likes stuff at home. Like, she likes art. She likes creating videos. She likes making animation, like stuff that she can do at her own home. I love that. And I'm just like, you know what? But I'm gonna have that second one. And he gonna want to play basketball and wrestling. And y'all know I don't know nothing about sports. His dad's not gonna convince me to learn sports, but he is.
And that's a lot. Like, when I get into sports, it'd be a lot. My sister run the record. My sister be all over.
Look,
yeah.
Look, my heart goes out to you, athletic parents. Athletic kids,
you have to think about all of this when you want to start that family. You have to think about it. I did not even think about those things either. So all of it.
Yeah. But on the other side is, again, you can afford more, you can do more with your kids. Like this year for my daughter's birthday, I took her and 4 of her friends to Great Wolf Lodge. That shit was expensive. Expensive stuff, but I have the money to do that now.
Yeah, we definitely didn't have in our 20s now.
No, I have the patience to also do it because it was just Nick came out with me, but it was just me and Nick and the rest of these kids. And it's us running after this, and it's lots of colors. There's lots of things to do. I mean,
one of them was like
wrangling.
Speedy Gonzalez. One of them was Speedy Gonzalez.
Oh my gosh. And it's so funny because that kid's parent was texting me throughout the night. Are they okay? I know they could be a lot. Are they? I was like, no, they're fine. They're fine. They're very sweethearts. But yes, they were Speedy Gonzalez. They were trying to jump off everything, go into everything. But also I have the patience for that now. Because at 25-year-old would have been yelling and been like, oh, y'all gonna get in the room. Time out.
Yeah, it's their phrase. It's their phrase.
At this age, I expect them to be that. We had a game plan. I can't okay, this is what we're gonna do. Recognizing the energy shift, you might not necessarily have the same level of energy that you had in your 40s. Our back might hurt. There's certain things you might not want to do as you get in your 30s and 40s. However, also the trade-off is you have more money. You might have more patience. You have more time. That's also another thing. I'm now in a career where I make my own schedule. I wasn't in my 20s. I run around trying to make things work around her schedule. My schedule was hard, and it's why I felt like I was always exhausted. I'd take my baby to school at daycare at 7 a.m. so I can make it down to my office downtown by 8:30 a.m. I would have to leave exactly at 5 o'clock because I had to take a shuttle from my office to the parking lot because it was 10 minutes away. Hope that I can beat Atlanta traffic to get to the daycare because I had to pick her up by 6:30 or I got charged $5 a minute. By the time we get home, it's now 7 o'clock. Shower, bath, and then we had a park in our apartment complex. So take her real quickly to the park because we got to get our fun time in. Shower, bath, bedtime story, kisses, cuddles. Okay, in the bed to repeat for Monday through Friday. And because I was 35, I was still kind of newish in my career. Versus now, I make my own schedule. I can, so I can flex my hours on the day. I can spend more time with her. We can do more things. Right now, my daughter's not used to, she forgets that was a thing. She's not used to, like, when I do have weeks that I just have a lot of stuff to do and get busy, she'll be like, because Tuesdays are my off days, and she'll be like, but Tuesdays is when we go to the mall and the museum. And when we go out to eat. Like, she's used to me pick her up on Tuesdays and, like, because it's my day off, we go and do stuff. We go explore the city. We go blah, blah, blah. Fridays is also a day that we do that. Like, I have multiple days where me and her go and do stuff because I have the time and I have the money and I have my career balance enough now that I can do that. So those are also the benefits.
I will say it was a way more of a struggle at 20, like when she was younger, like trying to get off and then go get her from daycare. And then I was working at like probate court. So things were very strict. And then it's just like, but now I have so much more freedom. And like you too, like I can be like, okay, I'm gonna take a break, go pick her up, then come back and work. And it's just like, and she's older. So now I can take that break, come pick her up, come back and work. She can go do her own thing for a little bit until, I'm ready to do the playtime. So it's like a lot more. It is a lot more luxuries now. I wonder if I started now, I probably would have all these more. You have more luxuries in your 30s and 40s than you did in your 20s, for sure.
Definitely do. You definitely do. So also one of those things. And then I think one of the other things is like the sibling factor of, okay, but like, especially for those of you who have no children, it is like, okay, but not only do I have one, okay, if I have one now and I want to have multiple, am I okay having multiples back to back to back? I have a girlfriend who had a kid and was like in her late 30s, and she wanted multiple. And so she was like, okay, I found the partnership that I love, that I feel secure in. I'm going to have this one. And then in her head, they're like, okay, and then we're going to have multiples. And then she had that first one. I was like, hold on. Hold on, wait. I don't know if I can handle being pregnant right now with the toddler. I don't know if I want to add another one. And I think even if you are already a parent, like thinking about how does adding another child change our family dynamics?
And then, some couples don't live by anybody. Some couples do not live by anybody. Like when I was little, we lived in Italy, then we lived in New Jersey. Like we didn't live by our family until I was like third grade. So it's like some people just don't. So you have to be trusting on babysitters. Like my parents was young parents, so they would just bring me to the house parties and put me back. That's probably why my butt loves to dance now.
So you were in the 80s. I was in the very early 90s. Like I'm 91.
Yeah.
My parents, first of all, my parents just had the party house. We were the party house. My parents reconstructed our basement to have a dance floor and a bar. We were the party house. It was just go upstairs. It was just, hey, can you go ask Uncle Daryl to give you a glass of brandy to bring to me? And I was just bringing brandy. I was just 5-year-old carrying cups of brandy to the adults.
Right.
It was a very different time. It was a very different time.
It is. It was. It is. So it's like those luxuries are not the luxuries now. But yeah, so it's just like, yeah, you gotta think about all that.
But it changes the dynamic again, kind of like I talked about, even with being a single mom, even when partnership, like it's like with one kid, it's very easy for y'all to get up and go. For one kid, it's very easy to say, hey, can y'all watch them for a night? When you have 2 or 3 kids, ain't nobody really trying to watch all 3 of your kids for y'all vacation. When y'all want to go on a vacation, it's easy. Like, y'all, we need some alone time. Can y'all watch the baby? Or can y'all watch our daughter? Can you watch our son? Because it's just, y'all go take those 4 days. Try to have somebody watch 3 kids for 4 days that aren't
Exactly.
They gotta love the hell out of you. And also be on a good week mentally themselves.
It's always literally only do that for one person. I love the hell out of her. Girl.
I mean, and it also might be things like a change in your house. Like, I know I have a girlfriend, like that was the thing for her where like she was a homeowner and it was her and her baby and she had a 2-bedroom home. She married somebody who had 2 kids of their own. And it was like, okay, my home, we don't have enough home now. There's not enough home. And it was like, I have this home. I'm making great payments on, but now now we have to talk about selling our home to get a bigger home. And I got this home when the market was good and my mortgage is low. And now we got to it changes. There's certain dynamics to adding another person to this change. And you got to consider that. And am I okay with that? Again, for some of us, especially like it might be, I'm in my 40s. I got this beautiful loft style apartment downtown. You know, and I think about it too, because like I remember when I was back in Cincinnati, I was living in Mount Auburn. I was 5 minutes from the OTR, 5 minutes from downtown, and like that was not a place I could have a kid in. Like, I remember before I left Cincinnati, I was looking at this loft apartment that was so great in the OTR and so forth. I couldn't have had a kid over there.
No.
I was trying to figure out how to even bring up groceries in one trip in that type of place, let alone a stroller. Let alone it can adding a child can just, or adding a child in general, how does that change my family dynamic? Okay.
So if you're still stuck in just trying to like figure out, okay, I still don't know what to do. Here are some ways to find clarity. Like try to rewind your life exercise. So picture yourself at 50 or 60. Do you see kids in your life? Does that vision make you happy or does that vision make you regretful? And like, just think about it for a week. Like 1 week take like, okay, if I did have kids, how would I feel at 50 or 60? And just live in that moment, dwell in that moment. Think about that moment. Like, are you smiling? Are you happy? Are you stressed out? Think about it. And then if you don't have kids, do I feel lonely or I'm still doing things I love? I'm still happy, or am I just thinking about the kids I didn't have? If you go through those things and those thoughts and just really process and sit in your feelings, that can give you like a clearer picture of like, hey, I do want kids. Or hey, yeah, I'm good. I'm sitting on the beach with my cocktail. Like, it's like, just think about both of them and do the compare and contrast and just see. Like, that's a great exercise to start with.
Yeah. Does it make you feel relieved or does it make you feel regretful? I think about that. Like, first of all, kids, no. Like, I'm telling you right now, first of all, I said when my child was 8, I was going to get my tubes tied. So we have revisited that. But I definitely have an age limit in my mind where I'm like, no, because when I do think about, being in my 60s, I don't want a 10-year-old. I don't want to be in my 60s with a 10-year-old. That's me personally. I would be okay with a teen in my 50s. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But like my 60s, no, I don't want to. I don't want no kid. I don't want no teen. I want, I'm okay with. It's not even about. I don't want no person in my house. I don't love my kids.
They just have to be
I get
able to
frustrated
do.
because my child is so independent. I know she's going to be the child that's like, I'm going to go to China for a year. And I'm going to be like, girl, if you don't get a job down the street and live with me. Like, I'm fully preparing for my child to take the alternate path in life. Like, I don't expect her to be at all.
Yeah.
I definitely expect her to be like, I'm going to do Peace Corps for 4 years in Uganda. And I'm going to be like, girl, are you stressing me? But like I have done it myself, and it's like, yeah, I put it. It kind of helped me realize, like, yep, I do want my own children around. I want grandkids. If my children decide they want to, if they decide not to, that's their choice. I'm not going to pressure them. But it would be great to have like grandkids in my 60s.
Yeah.
My own, I don't think so. And asking yourself, again, does it feel relief or feel regretful? I feel relief at the idea of like having adult children in my 60s.
Yeah.
Not so much when I think of little kids. So yeah, ask yourself, picture yourself at that age. Okay, what does that feel like if I think about a toddler running around? Ooh, do I immediately go, ooh, no. Okay, all right, let's walk back. Maybe 50s. What about, asking yourself those questions?
That is a good way to look at it, because I think I'll be like my daughter will be graduating and I'll be like 47. But just to think about that, I feel like 50 is still young for me.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, by that time, I'll be free and clear. So do I want to be like, I'll be okay with like an 18-year-old, but I don't know. I'll be 18 now, 10-year-old at 50. I don't know. I don't know. So I was like going over these notes and everything. I'm like, that is a good exercise, because no, I don't know. I'd be like, I can do it. But then I'm like, I can start going to my cruises again, or I can go on my cruises with my baby and she can do her own thing and I can do my own thing, and I don't have to I'm gonna be worried about her. Like, make sure you check in. I'm still gonna be worried, but it's gonna be a different type of feeling. It's not gonna be like a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we could probably start hanging like me and my mom do now. Like at that age, like I could take her places and we can hang out now. So it's just like, I don't have to worry about so much. So this is a great exercise to do, to figure out, like, is this really what I want? Yeah.
I also think a good exercise to practice is like talking to people who have done that. Like, talk to people who have had kids later in life, and talking to people who decided not to, or who maybe they only had one child and done, and kind of, if they're open to having this conversation, again, don't be forcing a conversation on people who but kind of getting feedback from them, the benefits, the negatives. And then also even recognizing, like, I have one of my mom's friends actually had kids later in life. And so like, she's my mom's age, but she has kids that are younger. Or even like, I think sometimes about my dad, when I was like 16, 17, he started over. He had younger kids, and then had another younger kid when I was like 18 years old. And I'm already years younger than my older siblings. Like, I was like the baby. My siblings were already like 10, 15 years older than me. So that man keeps restarting, just keeps restarting. Hide your eggs from him. But
how old was he when we wouldn't see him? How old was he?
I have no idea.
Baby. Those kids was little.
So
how old is he right now? Like, your mom's age, like 60?
No, both my dads are older. I think they're like 70 something.
And them kids are like our kids' age, right? Like, how old?
No, they're older now. One should be in high school now.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
All my grandkids at that time.
But I think about like my biological dad. Like, we're no context. I don't really know what's going on now, but like, he still has kids in his house. Like, my siblings got to be like, I think one's in middle school still. I think one is in high school now. And when we were in contact, I just think about like, he was 60 something with like little kids running around, and like how moody and grumpy he was. Now, my dad he's who he is as a person. So there's certain things like that fell on his wife. Like, he's still gonna do him. So it's a little bit different, but like, I do think about like, because he was retired He had got to the point he had retired. He still had little kids in the house. And so, like, okay, possibly holding back retirement or like then going back into the workforce after you retire because retirement is not really, even when you make really good money, a good job, and you did save and stuff, a lot of people don't plan to have kids that still are growing and have growing kid expenses at that age. So, am I
Mhm.
okay re entering the workforce after
Mhm.
I retire for my main career? And is that something I want to do, especially at a full time basis? Like things like that. So, even looking at like their lifestyle and so forth, and be like, does that, it won't be the same for you. Everybody's different. There'll be different factors, but you can kind of look at certain things and go, okay, do I want that for myself? And then also, their feedback. Some might be very honest with you and be like, you know what? I'm glad I have them. I love them so much. I feel
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Or they might be
Mhm.
like, girl, I did not have kids and I'm glad. I got my nieces and nephews. I'm very close to them.
Mhm.
They check up on me, they look out for me. I'm still very involved. I have a community. And so I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And it's great. But getting that feedback in from people who have those lived experiences.
Yeah, I agree. So both women who choose to have kids later and those who choose not to, there's no judgment either way. There's no judgment either way. And just like acknowledging that no choice is perfect.
Mhm.
Whatever it feels good for you is perfect for you. It's like you don't have to compare, but just think about it and go from there. But no choice is perfect too. It's no judgment. It's literally no judgment either way.
Mhm. I think both has its benefits and its
Mhm.
negatives. No choice is perfect. Both comes with its own things. I think about even like I have a friend who, they said they do want children, but they have to have none now. And like they said that again, one of their concerns is like, what if something happens? And not to say, and I don't believe this is what they meant, that you have children to like leave some mark or some legacy, but I do think it's fair to have that thought. And we had the conversation, and their fear is like, if I don't ever find anybody, I don't ever have kids, I just disappear. There's nothing left to show that I was here. There's no, I might be completely alone one day. And just to be clear, even with kids, you might end up being completely alone one day.
Yeah, you are.
Um, but they're like, what if I get older and older and then there's nobody here? Y'all have your own families. I know y'all will always invite me to Thanksgiving. I know y'all will have things, but like, what if y'all just get too caught up in life? What if we get separated? And then what if something happens to me? There's nothing to prove that I was necessarily here. There's no lasting thing. I don't have
Mhm.
anything that's like, okay, and because of my great grandma, she had my mom and my mom had me and then that carried on. And so they both can have there's no choice that's perfect. They both can come with their certain fears. They can both come with their certain regrets. They can both come off with there's certain trade-offs that you make. And so no pressure on like, well, I have to do this because this is the right choice, or I have to do this because, this is the more savvy choice. There's a trade-off no matter what. There's no perfect choice. No matter
Yeah.
what you choose, they're going to come with its certain things that are like, oh, well, this kind of sucks and this is kind of great. And I feel like sometimes you can think about that. We're like, well, that makes me more anxious, but I feel like it should not. It should make you be like, okay, well, you know what? It was going to have its good and its bad regardless. I made the decision that felt right for me at that time. And,
Mhm.
it's okay with me to live with that decision. So while no choice is perfect, I think we gave a couple of different things to think about and kind of consider. I think you can have an absolutely beautiful life with no kids. I don't think you
Mhm.
need kids to complete you. I don't think kids complete you. That is not their job. That's not their purpose. And I think there's so much fun and adventure that can have when you have a child-free life. You can have happiness, you can have joy. It makes sense for so many people's life and lifestyles. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But also, I think there's nothing wrong with if you decide to have kids, so you decide to have them a little bit later. There are certain trade offs where, yep, girl, nobody cares that your back hurts. It's wiggle time. And you got to get down on the carpet with her and wiggle. But like, also, you got more money. So you can pay a nanny to wiggle with her if you need to. Like
Yes.
they both come with their pros and their cons. We
Mhm.
just hope that today's episode gave you some food for thought to think on as you are mulling over the decision. As me and Neek both said, it's a decision that we are like thinking of and for our own lives. And so you're not out there alone. It is not just kind of like, am I crazy for thinking about having a kid in my 40s? Am I crazy for thinking about? No. But here are some things that can help you kind of make that decision. So we hope you
Yeah.
guys enjoyed this episode. We'll have more for you guys next Sunday. Be sure to follow us on TikTok at She Wolf Alchemy Podcast and on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy. And we will have be sure to like and review wherever you're listening. Leave a review with some words, and we will have a new episode for you guys next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.